I'm taking you through some of the most amazing games I have played thanks to Xbox Game Pass. I typically don't have money to spend on more than 2 or 3 games a year, really. And because of that, my interest level has to be really high for me to invest in a game, to buy it full game price, whatever. But these games were there, they were in front of me, thanks to Game Pass. The first to bring up is one that I'm curious if you played this before, Lemniscate. It is a multiplayer game that is a first-person shooter, and it's disguised as that, and it's got some weird time travel mechanic to it. But when you play it, it really is a turn-based strategy game that is done by using first-person shooter mechanics. It's insane. I can't describe this game. I have a whole video about it, and it's one that I really don't want people to sleep on, but it's just such a unique concept for a game, and I honestly was interested in it, but I don't think I would have ever have had enough to actually purchase the thing. And number 9 is the pirate game, yes, Sea of Thieves. I did try this game out when it was in beta, and it seemed lackluster, and because of that, even before the free beta, there was no interest to play it from me. But once I started rolling into Game Pass and experimenting and seeing how much content that they added to this game and hearing about it, I tried it out, and it was literally one of my favorite games I really got into last year. It is dense with content now. I really hope Halo Infinite has a similar redemption story as this game did after a couple years, and I'm so glad I have Game Pass to be able to hop in it whenever I feel like going on an adventure. A Plague Tale: Innocence. I heard lots of great stuff about it previously from a lot of people that just thought it was a really suspenseful stealth action game, and that's exactly what it is. It has a sister trying to protect her little brother in the plague times, literally the title of the game, but it's so tense. I always want to protect Hugo, my little brother, and the stealth in it is engaging enough with certain mechanics using like rats that could eat other people. It's seriously, don't sleep on it, and you could probably beat it in like 3 long sessions, maybe even 2. Number 7 is a game that I've always knew about, but just like everything in this, I just didn't have enough interest to really buy the thing. That is Psychonauts, an absolute cult classic of people waiting more than a decade, I think, right, for Psychonauts 2. And I got to play both the first and second one last year, and they are such quirky, fun, artistic, stylized games with such great humor in its writing and just memorable characters and level design that is so beyond what I thought it would be. The level design in both these games are so great. 2 in particular, like, I really love. That was almost my game of the year last year. It was something I wasn't thinking I would ever play, but because it's on Game Pass and it's a first-party studio, let's get to know Double Fine. 6, believe it or not, as somebody that is Halo all-time favorite first-person shooter campaigns, I love Doom. I have to say, Titanfall 2 actually gives them a run for their money for the best first-person shooter campaign I have ever played. And this maybe is why I never played it. It's because it came out around the time Gears 4 came out, that Battlefield 1 came out. It got buried under these other shooters that came out at the time. There was probably a COD game, and I just, I knew it existed, and I was glad there was a campaign, and I played the first one, and the first one was cool, but like, it just got buried. But because it's on EA Play through Game Pass, I played the campaign, and it's so good. There's one level in particular, you know what I'm talking about. If you play the game, there's one level that is like, oh my god, Respawn. Number 5, I'm pulling a twofer again, like Psychonauts. Ori the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. They are both awesome games that, again, I heard a lot about. They looked interesting to me, but it wasn't until I got into the Game Pass ecosystem that I was like starting to get excited for these games. I wasn't too into the Metroidvania style of game, but I think it's because of Ori, I actually am now into that kind of genre. And both Blind Forest and Will of the Wisps are phenomenal, but Will of the Wisps in particular, its combat is so much better than the first game. Its story, maybe even more so, maybe. But I would have never played it if it wasn't for the Blind Forest, and I would have never played the Blind Forest if it wasn't for Game Pass. By the way, phenomenal soundtrack for both of them. Holy crap. Fourth one, I have to thank a patron, Steffi, like top tier patron. Thank you so much. She actually got me to play this and reminded me it was on Game Pass. Celeste. Celeste was a game I was like, why are you nominating this for Game of the Year alongside Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, Spider-Man? That was the year that Celeste happened. It was nominated for Game of the Year alongside these things, and I understand why now. I don't think, like, I wasn't that into indies before Game Pass, but through a game that's about to be said, I started to become interested in indies, and Celeste looked like a really awesome game. It was one of the first games I played on my Series X, actually, and I am so grateful that Game Pass got me to play it, because it is truly one of the best indies I have ever played, with its challenge level, with its story. Really short, and honestly, a very, very dense post game if you just want to play it more. I have a challenge in this video I'm gonna do after these last three, and I'm actually kind of nervous because I didn't script it out. I just thought of it like right here and now. But that third game is what I was just foreshadowing here. It is because of Undertale that I started to realize what indies are and what they can be and the freedom of creativity that they can have and do. And I wouldn't have played Undertale if it wasn't for Game Pass. Undertale is a thing that really made me look at indie games and actually be interested in playing them, because Toby Fox, what he did with this game, with its character designs, with its soundtrack, with its mechanics, with, oh my God, one of the most charming stories I've ever gone through. If you do the pacifist run, I wouldn't dare touch that genocide run. Undertale is literally a masterpiece of an indie game, and I know it was a big cult favorite, but regardless, I don't usually play games because of a lot of people telling me to play it. I just have to have it in front of me and feel like it, and I did, and I'm glad I did. Surprisingly, one of the first games I thought of for this list is number 2, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. This is a game that I saw at the Game Awards, and you know, it was for its story, for its performance. I didn't know what the hubbub was about. It looked cool. I didn't think I would ever really touch it though, just like everything else on this list. But once I did, this is one of the narratives I tell people. It's not an all-time favorite narrative, but the performance specifically in this game is probably the best performance I have seen in a game. It's really tough. She's in the top 3. Yeah, top 3. But Senua's Sacrifice is such a compelling tale. You have to play with earphones, with the way it whispers in your ears, and you really feel you're experiencing what Senua is experiencing as you play as her. It makes it all the more of an immersive experience. This is an experience I am so grateful to have had. But that top one, longtime fans know what my top one is. I'm curious if you know. Before I say it, take 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Outer Wilds is a game I had a buddy of mine that was really, really loving and talking about, like, through our messenger thing. And it was neat to hear his stories, but I just didn't think I would ever try it. But because he was playing it, and because I saw it was on Game Pass a year or so later, finally decided to try it. And it became not only my all-time favorite indie game, but also probably one of my all-time favorite games just of anything. It's such a game about discovery, which is literally funny because it is the perfect game to top a list about discovery, which is Game Pass. Game Pass, you discover stuff, and Outer Wilds, it is a story about discovery. It is a mystery that you have to unravel by traveling to all these different worlds in this time loop and using your knowledge to experience this story that is told through you, the player. By the way, go in as blind as possible if you play this, because it's a game off of mystery, right? So the less you know going in, the better. And it is the most listened to score for a game ever for me. Nothing compares to how many times I've listened to this game's soundtrack. Now about that challenge, through this end screen, I'm pulling out my phone. I am going to try to list 5 games in 20 seconds that I have not played, and I really want to through Game Pass. Did it start? Oh shit, okay. Hitman, the Hitman trilogy for sure. Guardians of the Galaxy, I heard great things about. I would like to touch that. The Forgotten City, if I like Outer Wilds, oh shit. The Dragon Quest thing, and Killer Instinct, I want to try